Since Donald Trump's win in the 2016 presidential election, the media has mostly said it would be unbiased but thorough, to cover the new administration with tenacity but fairness. Which is why the Washington Post changed its slogan to "Democracy dies in darkness" right after the election. Which is why CNN is giving Van Jones, he of White Lash fame, his own TV show. Which is why, before the Uranium One whistleblower scandal exploded in late October, the networks devoted 1,000 minutes of coverage to the Trump, Russia issue and 20 seconds, mind you, not minutes to Hillary Clinton's dealings with the Russians over Uranium One. However, there was any one piece of journalism or commentary that encapsulated just what the mainstream media complex has turned itself into in the wake of the 2016 election bombshell. It came just a little over a year ago, on December 6, 2017. Trending, the Pope wants to change the Lord's Prayer. On that date, the Unbiased People of Time published a recommendation for Americans in the wake of Trump's win: stop paying your federal taxes. 65 million Americans should threaten to not pay taxes was written by Mark Weston, the author of The Runner-Up Presidency, The Elections That Defied America's Will. That book is about presidents who won the Electoral College but lost the popular vote. Its very title ignores a number of things, namely, that the Electoral College represents America's will by balancing considerations of geography and population, or the fact that candidates would have campaigned differently were the Electoral College not the deciding factor. But I digress. The approximately 65 million Democrats who voted for Hillary Clinton should pledge that in the future, if a Republican wins the presidency with fewer votes than a Democrat for the third time in our era, we won't pay taxes to the federal government. Weston's screed began. No taxation without representation. Twice in the past 16 years, a Republican candidate who finished second in the popular vote has won the presidency. This year, Donald Trump won the electoral vote with about 46% of the popular vote, while Hillary Clinton received about 48%. If the parties stay this evenly divided, another electoral mishap is more likely than not in the next 20 years. Weston fails to mention that Republicans scarcely campaign or spend resources in large cities during presidential elections, mostly due to the fact they, and the states that they're in, vote Democrat. He also doesn't mention the fact that the DNC's Donna Brazile spent millions in large cities in states where the outcome was already decided because she was afraid of winning the Electoral College but losing the popular vote. This turned out not to be a problem, as you may have heard. A national movement not to pay federal taxes in the future would put Republicans on notice. They do not have the right to impose a hard right, second-place presidency on a moderate nation every dozen or so years, Weston writes, apparently under the impression that either George W. Bush or Donald Trump constitutes hard right. If the Republicans won't help amend the Constitution so that America can resume being a democracy, then Democrats, lacking the representation that supporters of a future popular vote winner ought to have in the executive branch, should not submit to paying taxes to the federal government. How would the pledge work? First, an online group such as MoveOn.org, Change.org or both, should circulate a petition. The pledge is not just a powerful protest, it is also effortless, requiring no legal or financial sacrifice at all for years, possibly decades. Related, Joe and Mikalu's last shred of sanity, say dry mouth is grounds for Trump's removal. Weston then said that if a Republican wins the election, emphasis mine, without winning the popular vote again, we should still pay what we owe in federal taxes, just not to the IRS. Instead, people would compute their federal taxes, file a Form 1040 and write a check to a national escrow account, preferably in a well-established Canadian or British bank that is beyond the reach of the U.S. Justice Department, because whoever opens this account probably will be in violation of U.S. law. In the check's memo line, people should write, funds to be transferred to the IRS as soon as America resumes being a democracy. Yeah, this sounds totes legal. Also, why just a Republican, Mr. Weston? After all, This could happen the other way around. Miss Brazil was so afraid she pumped money into Chicago and New Orleans. Would you be suggesting the same thing to the aggrieved supporters of the GOP? And just remind you, this is all being published in Time magazine. This isn't something that appeared in a 1976 issue of Rolling Stone next to piece from Hunter S. Thompson on that year's election, which gradually degenerated into a screed about shooting out all the light bulbs in Walter Mondale's house while under the influence of high-test mescaline. This is a magazine that presumably sits on the coffee tables of middle-class families across America. Oh, who am I kidding? It's something you're reading in the doctor's office while you're waiting for the strap culture to come back. The point is, Time is mainstream unbiased journalism. And they're publishing op-eds telling you that Donald Trump is so bad you shouldn't pay your taxes. If you're a liberal and you're wondering just why there's such enmity between the White House, its supporters, conservatives and the press, look at the excerpts above. Go read the entire piece, if you wish. If you can't understand the problem after that, then just understand this, and I mean this in the politest way, you are the problem, too. Please like and share on Facebook and Twitter if you agree. What are your thoughts about how the mainstream media has covered the Trump presidency? Scroll down to comment below.